see all of you this afternoon. If you look up the words Christian respect on Google sometime, you'll come up with quite a few interesting options to look at. In fact, just the word respect will do wonders for you. It causes quite a debate even in this world, and I'm talking about even among atheists. A while back when I was first looking at this, one result in particular got my attention. It was a secular forum that I've never heard of before, and somebody had started a topic that they entitled, "What Makes You Respect Someone?" A woman named Lindsay, who was doing it, concluded her story by saying, "I don't dole out my respect easily. You have to prove you deserve it before I bestow it on you. Throw around your titles, your degrees, your money, your political position. It's all meaningless to me. It's all about how you behave. It's all about how you treat people. It's all about how you live your life." And we can understand what she's saying. It really seems to make sense on the surface. Yahoo Answers just the other day has a woman named Angela saying, "I only give respect generally to everyone. However, when they treat me badly enough to really hurt me beyond what I would ever do to them, I lose that respect. Respect should be earned anyways. People always want respect, but they never seem to want to give it." This was quickly followed by somebody agreeably inserting, "Well, I have respect for everyone until they're intentionally mean or nasty to me." So there's the conclusion that so many people come to in the world and in the church alike, that we must earn each other's respect. Open and shut case. If this is true, then I can go ahead and sit down because there's nothing left I need to say. But see, this is where everything goes crazy. If respect is something that must be earned, then what standard do we measure each other by? I'm going to go through that same Yahoo Answers page and see what it takes to earn these people's respect. I'm going to give about 5 of them. First, there was one that said everybody should get some respect for just being human, unless they really deserve not to even get that. Second, when they treat me badly enough to really hurt me beyond what I would ever do to them, I lose that respect. The third person said this intelligent man with such a zeal to change the world for the better that they decided deserve respect. And the fourth person said until they're intentionally mean or nasty to me. The last one said some of the ones I end up not respecting, they disrespected me first. And there's several others, but hopefully that's enough for you to see what caught my attention. By default, because of human nature, the reason we lose respect for someone else is that they didn't meet our own standards for them. I'm going to make a suggestion that we have built into us a natural idea of what respect is and who deserves it. But I'm also going to suggest that there's another system, another standard to respect people with that does not come natural, but is far more pleasing to God. These two systems of respect stand in sharp contrast to each other. First is the system we've been looking at that simply says, you've got to earn my respect. And this is built into our human nature. I'm sure there's not a single person here who cannot think of someone. I'm sure there's not a single person here that cannot think of someone you have a hard time respecting. In some families, it seems like the kids find it difficult to feel respect for their parents. Sometimes it's understandable. Sometimes it's not. Either way, it falls into the earn my respect category, and they feel the parents have not earned their respect. There are older people that cannot feel respect for each other. And they're the young men who cannot respect the elders, as well as elders who can't respect the young. I'm sure there's not a single person here that has not dealt with this feeling, but the question is it right? My theory is if something is right, it will also be consistent. To say that respect is something that has to be earned, not freely given, is highly inconsistent. For instance, a homeless man once entered into a fast food restaurant in Florida and started begging money from the customers. The cashier loudly and rudely told the homeless man to leave. But instead of leaving, this man turned right around and says, "You got to show some folks some respect, sister. That ain't no way to be speaking to nobody." If he had done nothing to earn her respect. He was begging money from the people that she was serving. He had no right to expect what he did not deserve if respect is only earned. In fact, he had earned her disrespect. But for some reason, he expected it from her anyway. He believed that there was a universal law of respect, and that illuminates our problem. We're all okay with people earning our respect, but I'm not sure that any of us are okay with people not giving us any. We want people to respect us for who we are, not what we've done. But we're okay with putting our respect just out of reach. Matter of fact, there's a common example you can probably think of right now about some people that say, well, you've got to earn my respect. They'll go home to their kids, and when their kids start disrespecting them, well, they don't take that very well. Whether or not they've earned the respect, they're upset about that. The problem is, in a nutshell, when we lose our respect for people, when they fail to earn our respect, It never was because they weren't great people. It was just simply that they didn't measure up to the standard that was set for them. So they lose our respect. For instance, look at Moses. He went up to the top of a mountain, and he spoke with the very person who designed him. He spoke with God himself, as a friend would speak with a friend. He and God were close. Of all people, he deserved everybody's respect. But if you go to Numbers 16, you find that the people, Korah, Dathan, and Abiram, they gathered themselves together against Moses. Verse 3, Numbers 16. They gathered themselves together against Moses and against Aaron and said to them, "You take too much upon you, seeing all the congregation are holy, every one of them, and the Lord is among them. Wherefore then lift ye up yourselves above the congregation of the Lord?" Obviously, they didn't give him the respect all the time. Moses went through phases of being in respect and going out of it. At other times, they spoke against God and Moses at the same time. The only real thing that we see Moses doing wrong doesn't seem to affect what people thought of. It doesn't seem to have altered their opinion very much. So their respect was not based on how close he was to God, but something else. And whenever they lost their respect for him, it was not because he lost his spirituality. 1 Corinthians 10, verses 5 through 6 actually tells us why. It says, "But with many of them, God was not well pleased, and they were overthrown in the wilderness. Now these people were our examples, to the intent that we should not lust after evil things as they also lusted." The reason they lost respect for Moses was that he was not giving them what they wanted out of this life. He went to the top of Mount Sinai to speak with God on their behalf. They craved the wild worship ceremonies of Egypt with all its sensuality. They put their respect on hold, and they did whatever they wanted. They got hungry. They said Egypt was better than freedom because Moses didn't do things their way. Now, as crazy as it sounds, Moses had not earned their complete respect. But I ask you, why not? It was simply because they weren't devoted to God like Moses was. And you'll find that to be the case today. Just because you lose respect for someone does not instantly mean that they're unworthy of your respect. But every single time you lose respect for someone, mark my words, it's always because you have decided to lose that respect. Respect is always a choice. Remember, respecting someone is, by definition, raising someone in your minds to a higher rank. When we respect someone, it's because in our minds we've placed that person in a higher rank than ourselves. Now, I definitely cannot say I agree completely with the president's take on life. There's a lot of things that he says, a lot of things that he does, a lot of things he stands for that I cannot go with. I still have an immense respect for him because he's still the president of the United States. I would feel honored to shake his hand. I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that the president is at a higher rank than I will ever be. I will always respect him, as well as respect every previous and future president. 1 Peter 2:17 even says very specifically, honor the king. We are subject to the higher powers, and they are ordained of God. You see, that's simple. We can easily understand that. Respect would be given to the president, even if he's done nothing for it. His rank is higher than our own. Well, let's look at another example. 1 Peter 2, verse 18 speaks of a servant's attitude to a master. Be subject to your masters. The Greek word suggests with a profound sense of respect. 1 Timothy 6:1 says essentially the same thing, but it even explains why. It says, "Let as many servants as are under the yoke count their own masters worthy of all honor, that the name of God and his doctrine be not blasphemed." The master is a higher rank than the servant, and for the servant to disrespect one in such position would be an affront to God himself. So by respecting our masters, we respect God. Both are in a higher rank, so we should let it be that way in our own minds as well. But in the age that letter was written, you have to remember, the slaves were not even considered to be humans. Masters, 9 times out of 10, did not treat their servants well at all. They most certainly did not deserve their servants' respect. But it was commanded by God for the simple reason that his rank was not only equal to the servant, but above it. In that way, respect was still deserved. Can you see the point that I'm making? The Christian model of respect has to do more with people's rank, not with their actions. You can admire them for what they've done or be disappointed with them, but your respect should remain the same. It's not based on works. Let's go a little farther. 1 Thessalonians 5:12 says, "We beseech you, brethren, to know them which labor among you and are over you in the Lord and admonish you." To know them, other translations put it, to respect them, and the Greek dictionaries all support this. Those that labor among you is speaking along the lines of your elders or strong people in your congregation. Why respect them? Because of what they've done? Have they earned your respect? Hebrews 13:17 says, obey them that have the rule over you, and submit yourselves, for they watch for your souls, as they that must give account. Because they watch for your souls. Simply put, they've made themselves responsible for whatever happens to you. God says respect them because their rank is higher than yours. They've made themselves responsible for you. They even have to give an account for you. Let's go even farther than that. 1 Corinthians 16, starting in verse 15, says, I beseech you, brethren, you know the house of Stephanas, that is the first fruits of Achaia, that they have addicted themselves to the ministry of the saints, that ye submit yourselves unto such, and everyone that helpeth with us, and laboreth. We are told that everyone who is addicted to the ministry is at a higher rank than ourselves. Everyone who, like Paul and the apostles, helps and works in the church. So, every preacher, every evangelist, and every missionary deserves respect. Not just because he's a good preacher, but because God has placed him in charge of people's souls, because they are addicted to the ministry. Ephesians 6 points out that kids are to respect their parents, because God placed you under them. So basically, respect is something that we decide in our own minds. The respect is something you earn, modeled in a nutshell, basically says, I will decide when you reach my rank. The Christian model says, God already ranked you, and I will respect you in spite of anything that you've done. Earn my respect comes from pride. I'll respect you anyway comes from humility. Christians are supposed to respect people because of who they are, not what they've done. The world cannot comprehend respect and argues constantly over it on the web because they're too busy trying to justify something that's inconsistent. They'll disrespect the current president, but they'll respect a person that does the exact same things that they meet on the street. Christian respect is different. You noticed, I'm sure, that I've been speaking in terms of rank, but underneath that is value. When we rank someone higher than ourselves, we're valuing him more than we do ourselves. We respect them. We may not agree with them, but we respect them. We might even love them. Philippians chapter 2, verse 3 and verse 4 says, let nothing be done through strife or vainglory, but in lowliness of mind let each esteem other better than themselves. Look not every man, or also translated, let him not focus on his own things, but every man also on the things of others. This, brothers and sisters, is Christian respect. Whether or not you have a high admiration for them, the Word of God in Paul's letter to the Philippians says to esteem, to value, and to respect people more than ourselves. Humility is what sets earned respect apart from given respect. Earned respect can be lost as soon as you damage a person's pride. True Christian respect can never be lost because it's based on the value of each soul to God. Under no circumstances is it right for a Christian to refuse to honor all men, as Peter puts it. He might hold some up as models to follow, and those he does not, though, they're still valuable. He cannot lose respect for any person and be right with God. So in conclusion, respect is hard to find in this world. My old man somehow became more used than my dad. Rules of houses as well as laws of the country are neither respected nor obeyed. Whatever people do these days seems to flow out from whatever the individual person wants. Nobody seems to care enough about others to turn down, say for instance, music that makes other people blush, even when they're asked. They say, well, if you can't handle this song, it's your problem, not mine. The basic thought running around these days is, I want it, I have a right to have it, you have no right to restrict or control my actions. Respect is a uniquely Christian trait, and it's something foreign to human nature. On a secular forum, the woman, Lindsay, asked a question that I'd like to conclude by answering. She said, what makes you respect someone? And the answer is, you do. Thank you.